Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I hope you are in a good condition. Today's video is about medieval political thoughts, especially from Machiavelli, Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. The first is Machiavelli. Yeah. Before I explain about his political thought, I would like to explain to you about the context of his political environment. He lived in Italy during the 15th to 16th century. During that time, the Italy was split into several trade republics. As you can see from the map, there were like Florencia, and then Phoenicia, Naples, and so on. Some of these were in the form of kingdoms, just like the rest of the Europe. However, there were several who were important but not in the form of a kingdom. Instead, they were in the form of republic, ruled by not a king and the nobility, but ruled by the merchant families. So they were like different uh, form of government. One is a monarchy ruled by the king or queen and the nobility. The second was a merchant republic ruled by the merchant families. So this create tension between them, especially the contestation between the nobility as the old blood with the merchant republic as the new power came to establish their own power base. And this was the background for Machiavelli's political thought. Machiavelli was a Florentian diplomat from Florence, and he was also a political philosopher, and he wrote a book called The Prince. In his book, he distinguished two political actors. The first is the hereditary prince, those of the nobility, those who had land and title. They had their power from hereditary, yeah, from their father and the father before them and the father before them, like that. While the new nobility or the new prince are the new players to the politics. They came from merchant families. They did not have blue blood, or they did not have title and land, but they had lots of money because of their profits from mercantile acts. Now, there were a contestation between these two, and Machiavelli captured this contestation in his book, The Prince. According to Machiavelli, hereditary prince's main challenge is to juggle with various interests in order to maintain their established supremacy, while the new prince challenges are how they could exploit and manipulate the system in order to gain power for themselves. Okay, according to Machiavelli, politics is amoral. Amoral means does not recognize, does not understand what morality is, and doesn't care about morality. So, according to Machiavelli, politics is something that is done solely for power, and this is his legacy. That nowadays you could read about or hear about Machiavellian politics. Yeah, Machiavellian politics is a political practice in which the actors disregard everything. They do not care about right or wrong. They only care about how to maintain powers for themselves. The next is Thomas Hobbes, and Thomas Hobbes and John Locke share uh, nationality. They were of English island, and you can see that during the time of Hobbes, England, the red or pink one here, is actually one out of four kingdom. The first one is England, the second one, yellow one, is Scotland, the green one is Ireland, and the blue one is Wales. Now, at that time, there were wars between this kingdom, and not only that, but also within the English kingdom, there were also battles and struggle of power between nobilities and the king. If you watch Game of Thrones, the one on the right side, uh, you can see that there were lots of conflict among the nobility, and that was inspired by the England during the time of Thomas Hobbes. So according to Thomas Hobbes, because he saw various conflict and wars happen around him, because of the constant struggle between one noble house with another noble house, according to Hobbes, yeah, England will be in a constant war unless there is a strong monarch to subjugate and to control the aristocrats. Yeah, so Hobbes proposed the establishment of a very strong and absolute kingdom. During at that time, a king or a queen was not an absolute power within their kingdom. They need to listen to the voices and opinions of the nobility, and they need to consider the nobles' power, both political power and military power as well. Yeah, because when they go to war, nobles will conscript, will recruit people who live on their land to become soldier, and noble will have like several knights who were on standby to guard their castle and be part of the more elite military force. So the king had their own force, and the nobles also had their own force, and this create a constant struggle between the king and the nobles, and also between the nobles as well. That's why, according to Thomas Hobbes, England needed a strong monarch, a strong king or a strong queen, in order to force the nobles to behave and stop their wars. Okay, this is captured in his book Leviathan. In that book, Hobbes wrote that the nature of humankind is conflict. Yeah, so because every human live in this world need resources to satisfy their needs, and the resources are scarce. Yeah, so they will be in conflict with one another for the distribution of resources. So in order to make sure that humans do not kill one another, do not uh, destroy one another completely, which will result in the destruction of mankind, according to Hobbes, then we need a strong, very powerful actor, which is the state. In the case of medieval England, the king or the queen, the monarch. Okay, so they need to have an absolute power, which will terrify, frighten the people, and then will be able to force the people to submit to the law. Without such a threat and amazing absolute force, the people will not listen to the law. Okay, so Hobbes likened this state or the monarch or the ruler as a leviathan. Leviathan is a mythical or biblical monster from the Bible, which came from the depth of the sea to terrorize humankind. So, according to Hobbes, because humankind, is in conflict with one another constantly, then there should be something that force them to stop their conflict, to make them obey the law, and this something has to be the absolute kingdom, absolute ruler, with all power, all military force behind, so they will be able to subjugate, to conquer the people. Okay, and with Hobbes' political idea, uh, there were movements to establish a stronger monarch throughout the Europe, to the point that when we see Europe in 17th or 18th century, their main form of political institution was a absolute monarchy. Okay? That's thanks to Thomas Hobbes. The third is John Locke. Yeah. Even though Locke lived in similar uh, period and place with Thomas Hobbes, Locke had different opinion on the nature of humankind. Unlike Hobbes, who saw humankind as in constant conflict with one another, Locke saw human as independent, rational, and tolerant. Yeah. Humans need resources to satisfy their need, yes, but they can think beyond conflict. So humans will achieve or will arrive at a conclusion that in order to achieve their need, it's better for them to cooperate with one another. So according to this opinion, humans at first had not established any form of institution, but then understanding that it's better for them to work together, then humans agreed to create a political institution. So humans then form what we call as social contract. Social contract is agreement between humans within a society to surrender part of their freedom to a state. So they create a state and then they surrender their freedom. They will obey the state as long as the state do their duty, which is to serve the interests of the humans within its territory. Okay, so according to Locke, yeah, the duty of the state is to protect the natural rights of humankind, and as long as the state follow or uphold this duty, then the people will comply, will obey the law of the state. But as soon as the state does not do its duty well, then there is no reason for the people to obey the state anymore. Okay, this is very different with Thomas Hobbes' interpretation of politics. Yeah. When Thomas Hobbes see politics as the ability of the state to enforce law, to subjugate its citizen, Locke see that politics is how the state performs its duty to serve the humankind. So, in the eyes of Hobbes, state is a monster. In the eyes of Locke, state is the public servant. Okay, and also Locke proposed the term of social contract, which then inspired various political scholars to write and develop their own description of social contract. The last political scholars that we are going to talk about on this video is Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Rousseau is a Frenchman. He lived in France during the time of the absolute monarchy. Yeah, so France kingdom used to be run by the king and the nobility. But then after the great movement by the king, Louis XIV established an absolute monarchy. Yeah. Under his reign, the king had absolute power, and the king controlled everything in the kingdom, including the nobility, the clergy, and the people. However, unlike what Hobbes predict, that according to Hobbes, under an absolute monarch, the people will be safe and flourish. However, at that time in France, under an absolute monarch, the people were suffering because the king of France put very high taxes to the people, but he did not put taxes to the nobles and to the church. Yeah. So, on the other hand, there was the society, the common people of France who live in poverty. But yet, on the other hand, they also had palaces, beautiful palaces, lavish dinner, king, queen, prince, princesses, the nobles, and the church who live in a very comfortable and even wealthy manner. During the time of Louis XVI, the economy got worse, and instead of alleviating the people's tax, he add more tax to the people, the common people of France, resulting in the revolution. Yeah. During that time, Jean-Jacques Rousseau was one of the prominent political thinker in France. He wrote a book with title Social Contract. Yeah. He argued that humans actually possess inherent virtue. So humans, while they were living in the prehistoric period, while they were still gathering and hunting, yeah, they still nomadan lifestyle, moving from one place to another. Human actually had inherent virtue. They had characteristic of goodness. So this is what we call as noble savage. So according to Rousseau, humans, when they were still live close to the nature, were having this noble savage characteristic. On one hand, yes, they were savage, they were uncivilized, but on the other hand, they were noble, having good characteristic manners uh, within their primitive ways. But then this noble savage characteristic was corrupted when humans start to settle down, accumulating wealth, and so on and so forth. Therefore, according to Rousseau, it is important for humans to perform social contract. Humans gather together and then agree on establishing a state, and then they delegate the duty of maintaining the characteristic of noble savage to the state. So, according to Rousseau, the state needs to educate and also order the humans within its territory to maintain their noble savage characteristic, to maintain their good characteristics, so humans are not going to be corrupted and then becoming destructive. So according to Rousseau, a state has to implement direct democracy in order for a state to be able to understand the opinion of the whole people within its territory. And then after the direct democracy has managed to agree on a particular opinion, then it is the state duty to uphold the opinion and then to make sure that everyone of its citizens are obeying the result of direct democracy. So we have at the very least now two conceptualization of social contract. One is from John Locke and the second is from Rousseau. Uh, you need to be able to differentiate between these two concepts of social contract. There are several aspects that differentiate Locke and Rousseau's social contract. The first is freedom. Yeah, according to Locke, freedom is the ability to do as one will and make choices. While according to Rousseau, freedom is the triumph of reason over instinct. So it's like this. You as a student, perhaps you are facing times when you are reluctant or feeling unwilling to go to the class. Yeah. According to Locke, well, it's a freedom if you are able to choose whether you go to the class or not. Nobody can force you to do so. Nobody can force you to go to class. Nobody can prevent you from going to class. That's freedom. But according to Rousseau, freedom is the triumph of reason over instinct. Your instinct might uh, entice you, persuade you to stay at home, sleep, play games, and so on. But then freedom is actually when you manage to control your instinct and think using your reason what is the best option for you, which is to go to the class. Yeah. So according to Locke, well, it's fine if you want to go to the class. It's fine if you don't. It's fine if you want to stay at home, stay at the boarding house and sleep all day long. That's freedom. But according to Rousseau, no. It's not fine for you to follow your instinct. You have to follow your reason. Freedom is when you are able to follow your reason over your instinct. So if your instincts say to stay at home, laze about, then your reason say that it's better for you to go to class and then follow the lesson and so on. The freedom means that you go to the class following your reason instead of following your instinct. It's very different. Yeah? The second aspect is private property. According to Locke, private property predates social contracts. The nature, while humans were still living in their natural form, natural habitat, while they were still like hunting and gathering, nomadian, moving from one place to another, they already know the concept of property. This is my land. This is my cave. This is my sheep. This is my horse. While according to Rousseau, no, private property is created by social contract. Before the human established society and settle down, they do not have the notion of private property. Everything is shared between a community. Yeah. So if a community found a river or a patch of fertile land, they will utilize that and share the result to the members of the community. But after humans settle down, then they start to develop private property. Oh, this is my land, that's yours. You cannot go to my land, I cannot go to yours, like that. Okay. Now the third is the purpose of social contract. According to Locke, yeah, the purpose of the social contract is to protect the natural rights of the citizen, including their life, their liberty or freedom, and their property. So, whatever you want to do, you can do it as you wish. Yeah, this is an individualist interpretation of social contract. Yeah. So someone enter a social contract because they are prepared to give up a specific freedom in exchange for a guarantee of their remaining freedom. So for example, like you have a land and house and a river running through your land, like that. You enter social contract, you obey the law of the state in order for the state to guarantee your life, your freedom, and your property. So nobody can build on top of your land, nobody can take water from your river, and so on. That's again an individualist approach. While according to Rousseau, the purpose of social contract is to create a government that represent the people as a whole and implement a general will. A general will is the opinion of the people presented through direct democracy and agreed on by the whole of the people. Yeah. So according to Rousseau, social contract is a proto-socialist instrument. Yeah. And according to Rousseau, social contract focus on what is the best for the social harmony and social freedom, not individual freedom. So a case like this, someone has lots of rice, for example. He has lots of wide area of rice field, and during harvest time, he managed to harvest 100 tons of rice, for the example. And then there were people on the next village who failed their harvest and now they are starving. According to Locke, social contract protects the rights of the first person, the one who has lots of rice, 100 tons of rice. It's up to him whatever he wants to do with the rice, and the government needs to protect him. He wants to sell the rice with low price, up to him. He wants to sell the rice with high price, up to him. He doesn't want to sell the rice, it is up to him. Then the government needs to protect him. It means like nobody can force him to sell his rice or not to sell his rice. Is it like that? Okay. While according to Rousseau, the government should focus on what is the best of the social community, the whole community. So if there is one person who have 100 tons of rice, but then there is this one village who are starving, then the government can force that one person, yeah, to distribute his rice to the people in the starving village. Yeah, this is very contrasting position. Locke said that the government cannot force the rich man to perform anything that he doesn't want to do. According to Rousseau, the government can force the rich man to perform something for the good of the people, for the best outcome for the society. Yeah, Locke's perspective on social contract is an individualist approach, while Rousseau's perspective on social contract is a proto-socialist approach. So I hope that helped you in understanding the political thinking during the medieval period, and especially Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau's political opinion are still inspiring for political scholars even nowadays. Yeah, after the midterm, you will learn more about the development of their political thinking and how they inspire modern political scholars and modern political institutions. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.